Booking the huts for Tour du Mont Blanc can be tougher than the hike itself. If you're doing a hut-to-hut hike in 11 days, that means that you need to line up reservations for 10 huts, and that can easily feel like you're trying to solve a puzzle. In this video, I'll share some tips to help you plan your route and book the huts without the stress. So the first place you'll probably go is the official website of Tour du Mont Blanc, and it looks like this. So here, this is already the booking system, and here you can see all the huts, and they have put them in categories like the French huts, Italian huts, and the Swiss huts. And then you can see like the information here. And what I really like here at the bottom, they also have a map. So that kind of helps you to visualize where the huts are located. So this map, I think it's really cool. When you know the huts you want to book, you simply just choose the huts. Let's take this one, for example. So here you can see more information about it. And then the most important thing is the calendar. So the availability calendar is here. So yeah, the green ones says there's availability. The yellow one is fully booked. So each color has a meaning. And if you want to book it, you just choose the date here. And then it goes to, oh, there's a waiting list. Okay. So yeah, this is exactly the problem with this website, that because since it is the official website to book the huts, they get booked really fast. And then if there is availability in some of the huts, you cannot line up the huts in a way you want them to. So that is the problem here. But so if I'm now on the waiting list, I'm the 40th person to try to book this one. Or let me see, I'll try another hut, because actually this Namborand, it's a quite popular one. Let me take a hut that is not exactly on the route. This one is on a variant route, I think. And then it would show you the availability, like what accommodation they have, like if they have beds in the shared dorms or if there are private rooms available. So here you can put the amount of people, just take one person. And then lastly, it asks you which way are you doing the hike. So let's just put the anti-clockwise, which is the main way. And so here it shows the availability for the rooms. So for example, here, this would be the dorm room. Those are always the cheapest options, but this one should be a half board. So you get the accommodation, dinner and breakfast. So once you choose it, you just book it, and then it goes here to the shopping cart. And once you have booked the first one, then it already kind of gives you the options for the second stage. So that's quite cool, actually. But here it already shows, okay, hut fully booked, so it's not looking too good. So basically that is kind of the problem with this website, since it is the official place to book the huts. So the website is pretty cool. It has some really nice features, but the problem is that it is just really hard to book the huts because it's so popular. So this is how you'd book the huts in an official way, I guess. But the very first thing you need to know that the accommodations listed on the website, it's not all of them. So there are a lot more huts along the route that you could choose. So on the official website, they have currently listed 43 huts. And on this hiking guide, we have listed over 60 accommodation options along the route. So this guide is from takehike.io, and here you can see the location of all the huts. And you also have the links to the website where you can make the reservation. So go ahead and check it out. I'll leave the link in the description. Another tip would be to choose a different starting point. Now, most of the people, they start the hike from Chamonix. However, technically, the trail doesn't go through Chamonix at all. When they say they start from Chamonix, most likely they mean that they start actually from Les Houches, which is here. It's a town right next to it. But Chamonix is a perfect base to start the hike still, because it's very accessible and it's a really charming little town. So it's well worth it to check it out. So instead of starting the hike from Les Houches, you have a few options to start the hike in this valley. So you could still arrive to Chamonix, spend the night there, and get ready for the hike. But instead of starting from Les Houches, you can start from here, from this hut, or from here, Trois-les-Champs. And this part of the trail here, this can be 1 or even 2 stages. So if you start from here, you could have one stage that ends here in this hut, and then the second stage from this hut to Les Houches. So if you want to start the hike here, you can take the train from Chamonix to this station here. Or if you want to start from this hut, you can take a cable car from Chamonix all the way to the hut. So these are very accessible options to start the hike. Another place to start the hike that is still accessible with public transport would be Courmayeur. So once again, you could just first go to Chamonix because it's super accessible, but then from here you can take a bus that goes to Courmayeur, which is in Italy. So this is the main town on the Italian side. So it's well connected. From Chamonix, they have 2 different bus companies that go do this route here, and it's about 40-minute drive. Another thing that you can do is simply change the direction. So I would say 95% of the people, they do the hike counterclockwise. So this is the most common way to do the hike. And if you're really struggling to book the huts, if you just change the direction, that you go clockwise, that can really make a difference. I would say the main thing with the direction is on the first day. So when you do the hike the common way, so counterclockwise, and if you start from Les Houches, the first day is kind of like a nice, easy introduction to the hike. So on the first part, you kind of go through these, like you climb some of the ski slopes, and then you go through some cute little villages. But if you do the hike clockwise, the first day here, this would be pretty tough. Now, I've done this hike twice. So the first time I did it counterclockwise, so the classic way, and it was hut to hut. And then the second time I did it clockwise with camping gear. This part here, it's a tough day. So you would have to climb more than 2,200 meters on the first day. And that's a lot. Another thing you could do is to use public transport to speed things up or to skip some parts. Now, this is not my favorite option to do, but if you're really desperate, there are some ways that you can cut some things out or like speed things up. So the first thing would be on the first stage from Les Houches, you can take a cable car up here, the Bellevue cable car. So basically you would cut the first big climb off completely. So if you take this cable car, you can save 4.8 kilometers and 670 meters of elevation gain. So that's a lot. And another option would be here in Les Chapeaux. Here they have a little shuttle bus that runs in this valley. So you could catch the bus from Les Chapeaux and you can get off here or here at the Refugio Mottets. The shuttle doesn't go that often all the way here, just a few times a day, but to this place it goes more often. If you take the bus here, you save 5 kilometers and 300 meters of elevation gain. But if you take the bus all the way to the hut, you save 6.4 kilometers and 400 meters of elevation gain. Another option you have in Les Chapeaux is that you can take a bus down to this town. So in this town, they would have hotels and bed and breakfast places where you could sleep. And the bus, it doesn't go that frequently. It basically goes once in the evening around 6 p.m. And then in the very early morning, before 7 a.m., it leaves the town and goes back to Les Chapeaux. So in a way, yeah, I think it works well for the hikers. And another option is right here before Courmayeur in Italy. From the Refugio Meisenwege, you could take a cable car all the way down to Courmayeur. Now, this is going downhill, so you would save your knees. And it's actually 2. So there is a chairlift from the hut itself to here. And then here you take a cable car to Dolon, here. And by doing that, you save 5.4 kilometers and 800 meters of elevation loss. So it's a quite steep descent here. So if you want to save your knees, yeah, go ahead. And the last public transport option I would recommend to save some time would be to take a bus from La Folie all the way to Champex-Lac. So this is a long stretch, so you could save a lot of kilometers with this one. Also, it's not the most exciting part of the trail, so I think a lot of people, they do use the bus here. If you do take this bus, you can save 14.3 kilometers and 530 meters of elevation gain. So it's a long one. It's basically a whole stage that you just skip in a way. So if you are desperate, you can use the bus. And another tip would be to use variant routes. So there is the main route for the Tour du Mont Blanc, but then there are also little variants that you could, customize or make it a little bit different. And then some of the variants, they have extra huts along those routes, so it could really save you with the reservation system. For example, here on the first stage, there are 2 huts here. So there's a variant route that goes more or less like this. And also here, there's another hut. It's not directly on the route. This is not like a big detour even, but still, it's a very good option, so it might save you. And then down here in the Italian valley, you have more options. However, the disadvantage with these ones is that you're kind of sacrificing with the views. So you could take the variant routes that they kind of stay down in the valley, and then you're missing out a lot of views. But if you are desperate, if you cannot get any other accommodation, there are some huts and also campsites down in these valleys. So that could also work for you. And speaking of camping, if you're really struggling to find the huts for the whole route, maybe you can consider camping. There are many official campsites along the route, so it's still a very safe environment to camp. So you don't need to do like wild camping. You can stay in a real campsite where you have all the facilities. You can have hot showers and place to cook and eat. So it's very comfortable. The only thing is that you do need to carry your own tent. And so here on the map, as you can see, these are all the options for camping. So you could do the whole route with camping as well. And I will do another guide on that one. But just to give you an idea, there are a lot of places where you can camp along the route. So if you cannot make reservations for all the huts, maybe you could camp a few nights. And the very last tip, I would say that if you have tried all these other tips I've told you, but it's still not working, you're really struggling to book the huts, you could use an agency. So the agencies, they do make it quite easy for you. They just give you the plan and the reservations, but it comes with the price tag. So of course, if you do the planning and the reservations by yourself, you save a lot of money. But if you want to do the hike very last minute, or if you don't want to stress about all the reservations and if you have the money, so just go ahead and book an agency. But of course, with agencies, they just give you the plan and there's no flexibility. You just basically need to do whatever they tell you to do. Like if it's a 10-day hike or a 7-day hike, that's what you need to stick to. So you don't have flexibility to change anything. But still, it is an option. So I hope these tips were useful. And if you are still planning your Tour du Mont Blanc hike, don't forget to check our website where we do have a full hiking guide for Tour du Mont Blanc. So here you can see all the info and the elevation profile, the stages. So go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments and don't forget to subscribe.